tonight on First at 9 this Monday, the 3rd of March 2025. Fuel feud. Fuel distributors to engage in decisive discussions with the CPC chairman tomorrow. CID launches probe into alleged plot to disrupt fuel distribution. Open for investment. Sri Lanka ready to engage with any power sector investor despite Adani's withdrawal, assures Deputy Minister of Economic Development. Japan and France interested in developing Trincomalee oil tank farm for international fuel storage, reveals Minister of Urban Development. Date set. Nominations for the local government elections to be called from the 17th of this month. Imminent strikes. Government medical officers and paramedical professionals threaten strikes if government fails to address salary concerns.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama, Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dino Sensorain, then Lagamati Pharmacy in Labata Hacker.
Kanta Parisankaragato? Happy Parisan.
ඉතින් මොකටද නිකන් නාගන්නේ? ස්වදේශී කොහොඹ ලෙමන් ග්‍රාස් අද කාලෙට ෆ්‍රෙෂ්ම විසඳුම.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Taridu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now, in your top story tonight, amid the ongoing fuel crisis, the Petroleum Distributors Association announced today that the distribution of fuel will return to normalcy, with orders being placed for additional fuel stocks for tomorrow. The association placed the orders after they were granted a discussion with the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Department has launched an investigation into a complaint regarding an alleged attempt to disrupt the country's fuel distribution process. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation recently announced its decision to abolish the 3% commission previously granted to petroleum distributors and introduce a new formula effective from the 1st of March. In response, the Petroleum Distributors Association unanimously decided to withdraw from ordering more fuel stocks following a meeting held last Friday. This announcement triggered long queues at filling stations during the past 2 days. However, this situation normalized by yesterday. Similar to yesterday, more fuel orders have been placed today as well. The distribution of those orders has already commenced. Therefore, it is clear that there is no reason for another fuel shortage to arise in the country. A discussion with fuel distributors will take place tomorrow, during which we can discuss key matters that need to be addressed immediately. Against this backdrop, the Petroleum Distributors Association arrived at the Presidential Secretariat this morning to hand over a memorandum concerning several key issues, including the reduction of the 3% commission for fuel distributors. We don't intend to distress the general public or the government. However, this situation arose because we had no other option. We expect that the President will thoroughly look into this matter and deliver us justice by appointing a committee to resolve these issues. If we have to continue with the current discounts, we won't be able to provide fuel after 6 or 7 p.m. That's why we raised concern in this regard. Similarly, we won't be able to accept payments from credit cards nor provide fuel to the government on credit. We can't provide these facilities if we don't earn a sufficient income. Regardless of what the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says, we have already ceased ordering fuel stocks. However, we still have adequate fuel stocks at filling stations. On Saturdays, we usually place orders under the assumption that more fuel stocks will arrive in the country by Monday. Therefore, we have enough fuel stocks in the country at the moment. We believe that the government will provide a proper solution to address this issue. In a later development, it was announced that the Petroleum Distributors Association has decided to place orders for petroleum products for tomorrow. The association placed the orders on the grounds that a discussion is scheduled to take place with the chairman of the CPC tomorrow. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka police stated that the Criminal Investigation Investigation Department has launched an investigation into a complaint regarding an alleged attempt to disrupt the country's fuel distribution process. According to the statement, a group claiming to be fuel distribution agents is reportedly attempting to create instability in the supply chain due to a dispute over the commission scheme offered by the CPC. DCID stated that legal action would be taken against any individuals or groups found to be deliberately obstructing fuel distribution and disrupting public life or causing public distress. Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha stated that despite India's Adani Group withdrawing from the wind power project in Sri Lanka, the island nation remains open for negotiations. He made this remark while participating in the committee stage debate on the expenditure head for the Ministry of Power and Energy under the Appropriation Bill for 2025. Meanwhile, Minister of Urban Development Anura Karunatilaka informed Parliament about plans to repurpose old oil storage tanks in Trincomalee for international storage facilities. He further noted that France and Japan have already responded favourably to investment opportunities in the project. No one talks about the imbalance in our power system. The discussion always revolves around the generation side only. Thanks to the incident involving the monkey in Panadura, we realized the weakness in this system. In the NPP manifesto, A Thriving Nation, A Beautiful Life, there are 41 suggestions for the power sector. However, you may be surprised to learn that only 4 of them have been included in this budget.
If we consider solar energy, even though it is not specifically mentioned in the budget, we are actively calling for investors to develop this sector. Regarding renewable energy, we are currently pursuing a target of 1,972 megawatts within the next 2 years.
Minister of Power, you must acknowledge that you misled the public. The story about the monkey gained international attention. Whether you admit it or not, you were at home when the breakdown occurred in Panadura. You issued a statement about the monkey without thoroughly investigating the real cause. As a responsible minister, you should not provide such explanations.
When the power outage occurred on February 9th, I was at the Presidential Secretariat. There was a special cabinet meeting that day. It is pointless to spread such misinformation. If we refine fuel at the Sapugaskanda refinery for export, Sri Lanka's strategic location and reduced shipping costs could allow us to secure a significant share of the export market. Additionally, based on current calculations, we can produce 440 metric tons of sulfur as a byproduct. This sulfur can be used to manufacture sulfuric acid. Sri Lanka has phosphate rock deposits, which we could utilize to produce triple super phosphate fertilizer. Furthermore, there are 24 oil storage tanks owned by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation in Trincomalee. Renovation of 4 of these tanks has been completed. We have engaged in discussions with foreign investors to use these tanks as international storage units. Investor firms from Japan and France have expressed interest in this initiative. Headlines around the world read, Sri Lanka loses electricity due to a monkey. Tell me, when such incidents occur, will foreign direct investment in our country increase? Will investors who are considering bringing their assets to Sri Lanka still be willing to do so? To strengthen the country's power system, we must develop the transmission network and grid substations. This is a crucial requirement. I previously asked the minister about the funding for this initiative. He stated that it would be obtained from donors. However, there is uncertainty about whether these donors exist. It is possible to secure loans from financial institutions, but even that would require implementing the reforms recommended by the International Monetary Fund. All wind power projects were temporarily suspended when your government came to power. One such project was Adani's. There was an ongoing initiative to increase power generation through renewable energy. However, due to political promises to cancel Adani deal, the country has suffered a significant loss. Without renewable energy, we must rely on hydropower.
If there is a drought, we are forced to use thermal power or impose power cuts. When we shift to thermal power, there are always allegations of corruption. I ask you now, do those corruption practices still exist? You halted wind power projects, you anticipate a drought, and then you are resort to emergency power purchasing. This allows a significant amount of money to change hands. Even the Minister of Justice stated that their primary objective is to strengthen their party. Based on this, we can assume that these actions may be a way to misuse public funds for political campaigns.
බලශක්ති ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට අදාළව අදානි සමාගම අපිට චෝදනාව ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට ඒ චෝදනාව ඇතුළේ මේ පරස්පරතාවයක් තියෙනවා. පළවෙනි එක තමයි කතාව.
Regarding the allegations surrounding the Adani project, there is a contradiction. Initially, it was said that the government suspended Adani's project. Later, it was claimed that Adani withdrew on its own. Let me clarify the truth. The NPP is working to expand investment opportunities. In doing so, we are primarily concerned with the cost of power rather than the identity of the investor or the country of origin. The 20-year agreement with Adani was signed to purchase electricity at 8.26 US cents per unit, which is comparatively high. Before we took office during a visit to India, we inquired about the electricity rates there. We were informed that India sells power at 3.50 US cents per units. Since we did not want to risk a power crisis, we referred this issue to the cabinet for a review of how the deal was structured. We did not drive Adani away. Even today, we are open to negotiations. Any investor with genuine intentions is welcome to bring their investment.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance. චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Don't waste time. Start your degree with pending A-level results this February with our partner universities. Call ACBT on 0117 699 499.
Malibu chocolate cream, inguru and lemon puff. Less sugar, same great taste. From Malibu.
Nominations for the upcoming local government elections will be called from the 17th of March. Meanwhile, the Election Commission will accept security deposits for the election from today until the 19th of this month.
Members are to be elected to 336 local government bodies, including 28 municipal councils, 36 urban councils and 272 Pradeshia Sabhas across Sri Lanka in the 2025 local government elections.
Nominations will be accepted at all district secretariats from the 17th of May until 12 noon on the 20th of May. Security deposits will be accepted from today until 12 noon on the 19th of March. However, deposits will not be accepted on the Poya Day or Saturdays and Sundays.
Meanwhile, the deposits made by candidates when nominations were called for the local government elections previously are currently being refunded.
Refunding of previous deposits commenced last week. 93 million rupees were refunded as at yesterday. Political parties or independent groups yet to receive refunds can do so by submitting the receipts of deposit and a refund request to the district secretariat to which they originally made the deposit.
The Department of Railways today announced new speed limits and revised train schedules for nighttime operations to reduce collisions between wild elephants and trains, which have resulted in the deaths of a significant number of elephants in recent months. This comes as environmentalists filed a fundamental rights petition before the Supreme Court today over the failure of the authorities to take action to minimize wild elephant train collisions.
The environmental organization Centre for Environmental Justice, along with several environmentalists, filed a fundamental rights petition before the Supreme Court today, alleging that authorities have violated fundamental rights by failing to take necessary actions to minimize collisions between wild elephants and trains. In the meantime, the Department of Railways issued a statement today announcing new speed limits and revised train schedules between Colombo Fort, Batticaloa and Trincomalee to prevent elephant train collisions during the night. The revised train schedule will be effective from the 7th of March. According to the new schedule, on the Colombo Fort Batticaloa route, train 6011 will depart from Colombo Fort at 6:05 am, while train 6012 will depart from Batticaloa at 6:10 am. Meanwhile, train 6075 will depart from Colombo Fort at 3:15 pm and train 6076 will depart from Batticaloa at 1:30 am. Additionally, train 6079 will depart from Colombo Fort at 11 pm and train 6080 will depart from Batticalow at 6:15 pm. On the Colombo Fort Trincomalee route, train 7083 will depart at 9:30 pm from Colombo Fort and train 7084 will depart at 6:30 pm from Trincomalee.
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
ඩයිබටිසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
කැලනි වයර් කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. කැලනි ෆයර් ෂීල්ඩ් වයර්.
Malibu chocolate cream, inguru and lemon puff. Less sugar, same great taste. From Malibu.
Responsibility to look after our health.
The best nutritional supplement for diabetic patients with no added sugar. Maliban Vitagen. Stay healthy for a good reason.
Welcome back. The Government Medical Officers Association says that an island-wide strike action will be launched on the 5th of March if government is unable to provide a positive response to the issues regarding the salaries and allowances of doctors. Meanwhile, the Joint Council of Paramedical Professionals stated that they will also take professional action on the 6th of March, extending their support to the Government Medical Officers Association.
Health sector trade unions have been raising concern over purported reductions in overtime pay and holiday incentives for the health sector in the salary revision proposed in this year's budget. The Government Medical Officers Association also recently met with the President to discuss the issue, during which it decided to give the government a week to address the matter. With the deadline expiring next Thursday, and as the GMOA has not received a positive response in this regard so far, an emergency meeting of the association's Central Committee was called today.
Raise your hand if you, our branch secretaries and provincial and district coordinators from across the island approve the decision of the GMOAs unanimously. We have finalized the date. By the 5th of March, government should recommence the 1/80th extra duty allowance that was reduced. The public holiday allowances that was at 1/20th should be reinstated. They have reduced our allowances unlike any previous government. They will have to reverse their decision. We will give time until the 5th of March. If the government is unable to do so by the morning of the 5th, only the essential services will work in all hospitals island-wide. If the government doesn't reverse their decision by the 6th of March, they will have to rethink how they are going to operate the medical sector of the country. The President is challenging the pride of the doctors. If the President wants to reduce the medical services, we are ready to face it. The government will have to decide whether they are going to fight against doctors or work alongside doctors to develop the medical services of the country.
Afterwards, the GMOA met with opposition leader Sajith Premadasa at the Parliament complex and informed him about the salary issue. The opposition leader stated that he and his parliamentary team would draw the attention of Parliament to this issue. The GMOA also held a special discussion with the leader of the Sarvajana Balaya, parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira, at the party office this afternoon.
Despite everything, you all look joyful. That is the most important thing. Now, what are the latest updates? Not just you all, most people can't resolve the mathematical formula. We also try to simplify this through financial expertise. It's very complicated. We will look at this problem from the honest perspective going beyond politics. Careful attention was given to this issue because the Vice President of our party is also a doctor. Doctors are the lifeline of the nation. The first priority is to keep people alive. We can discuss the rest after that. Doctors expected their issue to be resolved by the new government. When their expectations are not being met, we will have to approve any measures they take despite our own dislike, because we will have to assume that the government doesn't view their issues empathetically.
During the meeting, a series of proposals from the Government Medical Officers Association was handed over to MP Jayavira. Meanwhile, the Joint Council of Paramedical Professionals also called a press conference today and stated that they will commence an island-wide strike action from the 6th of March if the issues regarding their salaries are not resolved. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa responded to allegations made by health professionals regarding issues pertaining to their salaries.
රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ එක එක දීමනා එල්ලලා බරපතල විෂමතාවයක් සහ ව්‍යාකූලත්වයක් හදලා තියෙනවා.
They have created a huge difference and complexity in the government services by adding a number of allowances. We have to stabilize the basic salary. We can increase all the other allowances when we increase the basic salary. The overtime, public holiday and daily allowances from the month of April onwards are being determined according to the basic salary you receive for January 2027. Let me know if someone working in the medical sector says that their salary for April is less than the salary for March, combined with the basic salary, the OT and all the allowances. That won't happen. You will receive a good salary from April onwards.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation announced the decision to conduct an island-wide census of wild animals commencing on the 15th of March in a bid to tackle wild animal crop damages. However, the government's initiative continued to receive criticism from various parties.
Followed by an acute shortage of rice and coconuts in the recent past, crop damage caused by wild animals has become a major national concern. Farming communities across the country urged government to resolve this issue by taking necessary measures. In a bid to tackle crop damage caused by wild animals, a special committee comprising 15 members was appointed by the Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture, Lands, Livestock and Irrigation, MP N.M. Wickramasinghe, under the guidance of Agriculture Minister K.D. Lalkantha. Accordingly, the committee identified the need to conduct a nationwide census of selected wild animals that damage agricultural crops. The nationwide wild animal census will commence on Saturday, the 15th of March. The census will be conducted on 4 main animals, namely the Toki macaque, monkeys, peacocks and giant squirrels. As part of the survey, a 5-minute time frame will be given for the public to count the number of selected wild animals roaming in home gardens and other cultivated lands. The required arrangements to facilitate the survey will be provided by the officials of divisional secretariats.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි පත්‍රිකාවක් දෙනවා. අර එක් සතා කොච්චර හිටියද කියන එක තමයි මේ පත්‍රිකාවේ සඳහන් කරන්න තියෙන්නේ.
විනාඩි 5කින් කොහොමද අක්කර ගානක ලොකු ඉඩමක්
දැන් අපි කියමු තේ අක්කර ගානක් තියෙන භූමියක්. එතකොට අපි මේකේ වතු අධිකාරීවරුන්ට කියලා තියෙනවා තමන්ගේ සේවකයන් කොටස් වශයෙන් නිරීක්ෂණය කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට යොදලා වාර්තාවක් ලබා දෙන්න.
However, government's initiative to conduct an island-wide census was criticized by several parties.
ලෝකය මෙවැනි සංගණන කිසි විටකත් කරන්නේ නැහැ. වුන් කරන්නේ ඒක විද්‍යාත්මකව. අපේ කුෂිකර්ම නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන සංගණනය සහ ඒ ක්‍රමවේදය ලෝකෙටම අලුත් ක්‍රමවේදයක්. ඒ දත්ත එක්කාසු කිරීමේ ක්‍රමවේදය වැරදි, කාලරාමුව වැරදි.
අපිට මෙන්න මේ පරිසර කළමනාකරණයේදී අපිට නිවැරදි දත්ත ප්‍රමාණයක් අවශ්‍ය. නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා ප්‍රකාශ කරන්නේ දල අවබෝධයක් ලබා ගැනීම තමයි මේකෙදී එතුමාගේ පැත්තෙන් ප්‍රකාශයට වෙන්න ඇත්තේ. නිවැරදි සංගණනයක් කැටිට ගන්නවා නම් ඒක විනාඩි 5කින් කරන්න බැරි බව මම හිතන්නේ අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා.
In business news, the Hambantota International Port has received its first vehicle shipment following the lifting of vehicle import restrictions. The MV Jupiter Leader, operated by NYK Lanka, arrived at the port on the 27th of February and discharged 378 vehicles from Japan, of which 196 are designated for the local market. The Japanese vehicles for the local market include Toyota Land Cruisers, Hilux pickups, Prado SUVs, Toyota sedans and Suzuki Alto mini cars. In an official statement, the Hambantota port confirmed that it is fully prepared to accommodate the anticipated increase in shipments. Vehicles awaiting clearance are securely stored with additional temporary storage available for incoming imports. Vehicle processing stations have been established to manage necessary paperwork and ensure a smooth operation or transition from port to market. Additionally, a newly designed vehicle import yard capable of storing approximately 4,000 vehicles has been introduced to efficiently manage both local and transshipment vehicles. Trade Minister Vasantha Samarasinghe and Ambassador of Vietnam to Sri Lanka, Trinh Thi Tam, recently discussed the potential of signing a free trade agreement between the two nations. Meanwhile, the High Commissioner of Pakistan to Sri Lanka met with Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne and discussed enhancing the existing free trade agreement between the two countries.
Commissioner of Pakistan to Sri Lanka, Major General Fahim ul Aziz, met with the Speaker of Parliament, Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne, on the 28th of February at the parliamentary premises. Views on the importance of expanding bilateral cooperation, particularly in the areas of trade and tourism, were exchanged, and the High Commissioner underscored the significance of enhancing the existing free trade agreement between the two nations to boost two-way trade. The High Commissioner also conveyed an invitation from the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan for the Speaker of Sri Lanka to undertake an official visit to Pakistan. Meanwhile, Ambassador of Vietnam to Sri Lanka, Trin Thi Tam, paid a courtesy call on Sri Lankan Trade Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe at the ministry premises on the 1st of March to discuss the potential for signing a free trade agreement. The ambassador noted that Sri Lanka is Vietnam's fourth largest market in South Asia and highlighted challenges in bilateral trade, including the lack of market interest and direct flights, as well as Sri Lanka's current high import taxes. Ambassador Tam also informed the minister of the upcoming 4th Joint Commission on Trade between the two countries to be hosted by Sri Lanka this year, highlighting this mechanism as an ideal platform for detailed discussions on closer trade cooperation.
Alliance Finance Company plc, Sri Lanka's oldest operating non-banking financial institution, marked a significant milestone with the issuance of its green bond on the Colombo Stock Exchange. Notably, this is Sri Lanka's first green bond by a non-banking financial institution. The achievement was marked by a bell-ringing ceremony on the 27th of February at the CSE trading floor. The listed, rated, guaranteed, senior, redeemable 3-year green bond offering up to 10 million bonds at a par value of 100 rupees per bond opened on the 17th of February and was oversubscribed on the opening day itself. Now, in your stock update, the Colombo Bourse began the month in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as Hatton National Bank, Melster Corp and Bukit Dara. The broader all-share price index closed 1.89% lower at 16,167.3 points, while the S&P SL20 fell by 2.11% to close at 4,827.21 points. Market turnover crossed 1.5 billion rupees. The banking sector was the top contributor to market turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreign investors closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 226 million rupees. Up next is Sarah Rifayaddin from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in Weave segment for the week.
The domestic stock market declined throughout the previous week. The S&P SL20 fell by 2.6% from 5,063 to 4,931, while the ASPI fell by 2.4% from 16,889 to 16,478. In addition to the index performance, market turnover dropped by 63% to 7.819 billion rupees, owing mostly to the contributions from the capital goods sector and the banking sector. Furthermore, the government raised 140 billion rupees last week through the Treasury bill auctions, where interest rates reduced on 3, 6, 12 months bills by 4, 3 and 1 basis points. Additionally, the government raised 27.5 billion rupees last week through the Treasury bond auctions.
And that's all for tonight on First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.